Hello, everyone. Please, you guys should be a little bit patient before we start. Okay, so we are going to start since the others are not here and I don't know when they're going to join the call. I hope everyone can hear me. Please just react if you can hear me clearly. All right. The other person, Geraldine, can you hear me? Thumbs up. Yeah. So today we'll be looking at exploratory data analysis. I think that course was assigned to you this week. So today we are going to go through some few things and look into exploratory data analysis, just like kind of a revision. There, I have a notebook I've prepared which we are going to go through. Okay. So what is actually the goal of exploratory data analysis? Like, why do we have to do it? It is like we need to understand the structure, the size of our data set before we can start playing with the values. That's why it's very important to always do exploratory data analysis. So you can kind of think of it like reading the table of contents and the copyright of a book before reading the chapters. At least give you an idea of how the book is like what you expect from the book. So what do we first check during the exploratory data analysis process? The first thing, a data set is made out of rows and columns. So those are the first things we always look at. We have to look at the column names, the first row, the last few rows. Then we can also see if the headers make sense, like the columns name, and change them if it doesn't make sense. I hope you guys are on the same page with me. Then during that process, what do we do next? Always important to check your data type, which is something that is very critical. Like it's always good you know all the data types you have for each column. Like a year should be stored using the date time, not maybe an object. Because maybe while trying to perform some computations, you might always run into errors because the data type don't match. So it's always good to know your data types before you start doing any computation on your data. Then next, another important thing is we can also check out the minimum and maximum values. But I think even before I keep giving all this theory, I think it's better we just begin to work on a small data set while I begin to show you all these things I'm talking about. So you just hold on, let me open Data Lab and I share my screen with you. Okay, 1 minute is Data Lab. Okay, share screen. Okay, address the slide. Okay, it's only downstairs. Upstairs. Okay. I hope you guys are able to see my screen now. Okay, let's move into data lab directly. I just have a data set which I'm going to load. But first, before we start, we always need to import pandas. That is the first thing we do when we're working with data. So, sorry, import pandas as PG. We use the alias PG to avoid writing pandas all the time. Then TF equals to PG. I have a data set here which I already uploaded. So I'm just going to use that data set. Then let's inspect the data set. As I said, it's always good to look at the first few rows or the last rows, the few last rows are available. So let's use head and we can get the first 10. Yeah. And let me run. It's just that this window is a little bit small, but from here you can see this is the data set. We have this normally the index. Let's look at the product ID, the product name, category. We have the actual price, which is actually in rupees, something like that. Then you have the discount. We have rating count, about product, user ID, username. This is a review ID, review title, review content, and image link, product link. I think that is all. So what next? As I said, you can also look at the last rows, but I don't really think that's important at the moment because I think all of you can get the last rows of a data set. Um, so we can also like select an option to choose the maximum columns and the rest, but let's just leave that out. It's not important for the moment. So let's look at the column name because actually what I was showing you there, let me just actually make it a little bit clearer. We'll just do df.columns and you see the columns name. So you can see the column name. These are all the columns that we have in the data set. So this is another way. Instead of going through the table, you can have a data set that has 50 columns. It might be difficult for you to begin to scroll and begin to look at it. So you can always get the column name like that, and it really makes it easier and it's cleaner to go that way than going through the long process which I was doing before. So let's look at the data type, and as I said, it's always very important. You always know your data type before you move along to anything else. And we use df.if, excuse me, we use df.info to get it. Okay, let me just comment these other ones. I don't know why it is still printing this. Okay. I don't like the fact that this thing is way too small. Okay. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put the brace, this bracket. I'm so sorry for that. That's why it's printing this. Okay, so you can see the D types of all the rows is made out of object. Everything. Let's look here. Is there any object? So everything is made is object, and we can see the count. We can see that we have 146 rows in the data set. Then next, let's check for the the values that are null. Let's check if the number of null values we have in the data set, like the columns with empty without any value. And we are going to just sum it and get for each row and see the number of empty values we have there. So let's just get away. That would be TF. So I'm just going to use this sum. You see, it's just going to count for each column. And okay, so you can see it's just I was supposed to look for a more dated data set. This one is too clean. You see, it just has just the rating count as two null rows. So is the data set is way too clean. You see, the rest is filled with values. You see, it has 0, 0, 0, 0 everywhere. So it shows that the data set is really clean and it does not require a lot of cleaning. But I think you guys have done cleaning the data set before. I'm sure people can do it by now very well. Then the next, I think we are going to just play like we are going to change the data types of some of the rows. I mean, sorry, the columns. We are going to change them and replace them. But first, let's start by replacing. Can we replace the rand? Let's replace that the rupees or whatsoever they call it, the symbol for the currency with something like dollar, a more a more universal currency. So that let's look at our data set again. That is discounted price. And let's just change that. Okay, discounted price. Go next. I hope you guys are still able to see my screen because it's like there's a little bit of a glitch on my side. If we're able to see the screen and see what I'm doing, then I think we are good. Please, you guys should just react. Let me be sure everyone is still able to see my screen. Okay, just one person. What about the others? Okay, let's move ahead. What was that symbol again? I forgot. um, Please, let's just read back the data set again then so I can see the symbol I'm trying to replace. I don't see it on my keyboard. Excuse me, 1 minute. All right, sorry for the delay. Data lab. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. Let me see the first. I'm trying to replace this. Let's run again. So actually see what I'm trying to replace here. Okay, this is what I'm actually trying to replace. Can I copy it? Yes. We can replace with this dollar sign. Let's see. Or we just okay. Let me uncomment back the code, then we run it again. Oh, sorry. Let me print. I forgot I have to print again to verify if the changes actually took place. Let's just print the first five this time around. Oh, it's going. Oh, there's a problem. It didn't replace it. Sorry. I don't know what could be the problem there. Wait. Okay. Thing. Let me do something else there again as well. I'm just going to copy this one and replace the empty string that will have the comma. Sorry, because I'll have to convert this the actual price into float because everything is actually object and we cannot work with it like that. We need to convert it to float. So let me replace this comma with that. Then and we are going to probably do the same thing with the discounted price. I mean, sorry, we are just going to replace the type with float 64. That is the type. So we're going to use the as type method to replace. So I'll just copy again and end here. As type. Okay. Then it should probably replace now the issue we had there. Oh, I'm sorry, I did not see put. I had to put this in. Put. Sorry for the mistake again. As type has a problem. Okay, okay. The same error we had above, replacing. Oh, actually, it was a little bit dumb to replace this. I was just supposed to replace it with an empty string rather. Yeah, replace it with an empty string, then it will be rather than replacing the dollar. I forgot it's going to complicate things out for us. So let's run now and we see our result. And oh, what is the problem? I'm not seeing the button to run the code again. But anyhow, before I'm going, is there any question anybody has to ask? Is there any worry? You can just raise your hand and unmute, then and speak out. I guess no one has a question. I think everyone is good. So we are on the same page. We can move on. Uh, there's a little bit of a problem with the website. But anyways, let's just move on to the next stuff. I'm going to run it later. I don't know if it's my network or what is happening, but there's a little bit of a problem there. So we have replaced that, and we can actually go ahead and replace the rest. We can actually go ahead and also do the same thing for the actual price, because we actually need to perform some calculation on the actual price. So it will be good if we replace, we convert the J type from object to float, which we can use for mathematical computations. So we are just going to move ahead and convert that column. And we're also going to convert as well the discounted percentage, because if we had the chance to look at the data set again, okay, it's back now. Let's just run it so I'll show you what I'm talking about. And let me also just do df.info so you can see, we can verify if the type actually changed. Okay, so we can see now that the discounted price, the G type is now float instead of object. And we are going to do the same thing for the actual price and the discount percentage. So let me just do again as well. We come under here. I just put change in Z type of actual price, actual underscore price from object to float. So we are going to have df as usual. If you like, I always like to use a double quote because it looks more clean for me. But you can use anyone. It's Python, it's equal to work. Actual price equals to the actual price. Then, as we did, we use it as type again and quote plot 64. But even before that, I was supposed to check if I was to replace anything there. Maybe he had that symbol, but let me verify again by trying to see the first few columns there, if in case we need to replace anything before we move ahead. So where is it? Discounted actual price. So we just have to do the same thing as well what we did up there. We need to replace these rupees, this rand, whatsoever symbol it is, with an empty string, so we can convert it to float, because the computer will not be able to convert this. It cannot convert it to float. But even if this one is object, as you see the discounted price, it does not need to be converted because there are no strings there. But before doing that, we might have to check to make sure that all the rows are like that, because there might be one row that was have that problem, and when you run your code, it's going to have a big problem. So let's just move ahead and do the same thing. So I'm just going to copy and paste for the sake of time. Control C, then I paste down 2 times, then okay. Then we are going to replace first before convert to the type. Oh, double A supposed to be one. So just the same thing here. Let me copy this symbol again and I'll paste it right here. And we are going to replace any comma because that's going to cause us a lot of problems as well. It's an empty string. Replace now the comma here again with an empty string before we convert. Okay, then we run again and let me uncomment this line of the code so we can confirm if the changes actually took place. And as I said, the next will be discounted price. I think that one is straightforward. So why is it not running now? And yeah, but as I said, we're going to convert this discounted price as well. Okay, we have a little bit of an error here. Let me go through and see what is actually the problem. All right, let me see. I think this is a comma. What is the problem? I think I saw a comma there. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Uh, I copy and I forgot when I pasted. I actually forgot to replace this as type with the str is a string replace function. Sorry for that. Please, if I'm making any error, you can just point out to me directly. So we go fast. Okay, I think it should run now. Let me just go and see. And I said next will be discounted percentage, not price. That was a mistake. And we're going, okay. So we can actually confirm that they have been changed now. Now we have to go to the percentage because all these are supposed to be numeric. We cannot be dealing with numeric values like strings. So let's go actually now to the percentage column and we try to see how we can work things out from there. But first, before we go, let's just look at it first. Let me take it to 10. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with 5. Let's run again. Okay. Discount percentage. What row is that? Oh, maybe I'm too fast. I've surely skipped it already. Okay. So the discount percentage. And I really think I might have to remove this percentage to make things easier. Because when we're plotting, we need something numeric. So I might surely have to remove that percentage. Okay. So we just do the same thing. So I'm just going to copy this. Then let's go next. So actually. So let me just comment. It's good to comment changing object to float. Yep. Okay. Oh, good. My internet, something happened to the Wi-Fi here, so it disconnected me for about a second. So let's continue. It's here. Discounted percentage. Yep. I hope it's correct. So it makes things easy and fast. It's like in no percentage. Yep. With an empty string. Then we close. Just copy the same thing and no, now to convert the type. I think there's no even need for me to be doing that if I just continue here on the same line. But I was just showing that for simplicity. As type, I think it should go like this. Yes, I should be able to go this way rather than copying and wasting time here. Then after converting it, so we are going to have 40, 43, 64. But I think it is better we divide over 100. So we are like converting this thing to percentage. See, it will be easy from there. Instead of 64, we're going to have 0.64. And I really think it will be better that way. So let's just replace it then and check our data set again to verify. So let's go here. That I already copied that is equal to that. Oh, okay. GF, I forgot. Okay. So I'm just going to print and verify as usual. So we go again. Oh, there's a problem somewhere. Please excuse me for 1 minute. Mr. Joseph, please can you hear me? Please, can you excuse me 5 minutes? I'll be back. But it seems like he can't hear me. Let me just continue when he's around, then I'll quickly rush and come back. Okay. So I've typed that might be problem. Okay. I'm always just doing this basic syntax error everywhere. I've still forgot to add 64 here and it keeps creating a problem for me. So let's run it again. Sorry for all these basic mistakes I'm making. Did anyone raise their hand? Um, Key error. So there might be a spelling error, discounted percentage. So I think let's just check again the row names because that's where the problem is actually coming from. I might have made a mistake somewhere while writing the names of these rows. So I'm just going to comment all this out and verify. It's discount percent, not discounted. So sorry for that mistake. Discount percent. Sorry again. Discount. Please let me just hurry 1 second and I'll be done. I hope you guys are following up. Feel free to interrupt me at any time if you have a question. And let's run again and see. Which okay. I think that is all good from there. You see, we have successfully converted these rows, which were actually objects. So you can think of objects like that kind of string, something like that in normal programming. But in Python, you might see a string. Then you can just take this float as a normal float 64. So it's always good to think of it that way. Like it's not good to be working with numbers like maybe the number of people in the country and it's represented, the data type is actually stored as a string. It's really a bad idea to do that. And we can go now and look at the rating column and we can try to see what we can get from there. Let's just get there and see the values. Then we can move on to the next stuff. Rating is let me go back down and we can just come here. I always forget to comment out this. It's normally going to print the last one. Published. What's going on? I don't know why the notebook keeps behaving like this. But next time will be better. I will just do it locally from Jupyter notebook for my machine. Because I really think it's very important people learn how to set their own environment and work with it. Because when you get to look for it, when you are working at your job site, you'll not be using data lab. This is just for learning. So it's always good to download Jupyter notebook, or you can use the Google Colab, their own notebook, and learn how to work from there rather than always using data lab, because that's what I'm used all the time. Because this one is just for learning purpose, so it's always good to try to do things on your own. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry I had to leave the call again. So let's just continue from where we ended. Let me share my screen. Okay, just hold on a bit. Let me share my screen again. Hey, I'm sorry. I had to share the attendance link. Please just hold on. Let me drop it. 1 minute. Let me copy and drop the attendance link. Sorry, the form. Then you go and fill as usual. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to drop it, but you can just go ahead. So before I left, we're looking at this rating. There was a funny column here with a funny value, yes, with this stroke. Yeah, he had a problem. So we're looking at it before I left. So I was saying we need to replace. I was telling a method to query and get something out to get the exact location of it. So if you check, if you use the query method I was talking about, we are going to see the column details I was talking about there. Okay, let me drop the attendance link now mm, and get it from there in the messages. Okay, so you guys can see the form for attendance for today. So we are doing exploratory data analysis. Let me refresh the page. Had an issue, so let me refresh the page again, and we see what happened next. Okay, it has loaded. This is what am I writing here? Why is it not showing? Sorry, I don't know. This notebook keeps having a problem on my side. So I was saying we are going to replace that. So I will just write it somewhere and just paste the code here when it's okay. So we are going to probably have to replace um, that value, this value here. We can compute the mean as well. We can always get the mean. So we can df we get this rating one, we get the mean. I'll get back to that later. Let's move on to the next thing that we have to do. So we are not going to remain on that. It's just the same process we have to do for the other one. So we can get into descriptive statistics. So when we collect so it's kind of like a quantitative measure that summarizes and it describes the main characteristics of a data set. That is just like what I can say about descriptive statistics. So we always use a describe method to do it. So if we take df.subscribe, we are probably going to see some. It's going to show only for the columns that have numeric values. You are going to see it's going to perform some numeric computation there. But this issue of not yet, we're supposed to work a little bit on that rating, the rating and the rating count, because everything there is still in, as an object. So we really need to convert it to float. So it's going to show us what one. Okay. So I'm not going to waste time on that because I already told you what is the use of. So I'm just going to come here, copy and do really quick. No, here. I'm going to replace that value with, I don't even know the mean, but I might compute the mean. So it's just df dot that, but I can just take 3 as a mean because that's what I've seen there. Because there's no time for me to start writing, although it's a very short line of code that I need to write. But let's just go very quick. So this is rating. So we are going to replace with this instead, yes, and convert the type. Then we can always replace now the rating count. And we check again our df.info as well after replacing the rating count, because it's also that then we move on to the descriptive statistics. Df count, then that info. And let's try to run it fast. Oh, a little bit of an error. Where? Mm, okay, could not convert that to float. Why? Okay. There might be more problems with that row, which we'll have to check. So string dot replace, yes. Oh, as I was hearing, you know what I did? I forgot to put a value here, but there's still no problem. But I don't think that's where the error is coming from. What the hell is wrong with this notebook again? So after converting that, let me just begin to type this as well. So once we are done with the conversion, we are just going to go straight into it. So that we are going to go to missing values because that is also very one important thing to touch here. This notebook keeps having a problem on my end. It wants me to refresh it all the time. Let me just refresh it again. While it's refreshing, we can begin to talk about null values. If I take run, you see, it does not want to run. Okay. So as I was talking, dealing with missing values is something very important. And we need to take note in this process because it will create us a lot of problems. So it's really important we learn how to deal with missing values. Most often for a numeric column, like I was talking about the rating, one way to always replace it is like you can always take the mean, compute the mean, that is the average, and replace the values. But it's always good you don't replace too much, or at times if it's less than 5% and you have enough data, it's comfortable if you can drop the missing we can drop the missing rows here, like here we just have two missing columns with no value, so it's okay if we can drop it. Okay. And at times you can also always plot missing values, which is kind of important. Where you plot them, you can see, but for our case, if we plot, we're not even going to see anything because we just have two values. And our data set has over 1,000 rows, so we just two missing values. It might not be feasible enough for it to make any sense. So, and I think we have already checked the missing values, so there's no need again for me to show you again sorting them because it's kind of just a waste of time. Let's check this notebook here. Might still be loading. I don't know if it is my machine having that problem or what is the problem. Everything work, all the sites are working well except data lab. So I think for missing values, we are really good with that. And I said plotting, we have just two missing values, and it will really not make sense for us to plot anything here. So we can just move on to something else. So we can also find duplicate. That's also one thing I left out, duplicate and analyze them. So removing duplicate is like one of also is also an important part of this exploratory data analysis process. So if we must remove duplicates in order to get correct insight from the data, there's no need for you to have exactly 10 the same rows. Like it's going to, it might give you a false result. You might think you are getting a false result, but it might give you a false result. So it's always good to check out the duplicates as well. And duplicates can people, I don't know if they have been if you guys have been assigned a lesson about these statistical measures. Okay, probably people have done it mean and median. I was even talking about it. So it can also lead to over representation, something kind of that of certain data points. That's like you can get an overrepresentation of the mean or the median or standard deviation, any something like that. And it's also very important to move it. Like it ensures kind of accuracy and reliability of your data analysis. You are sure that what you are doing is accurate because you are not duplicating and writing one and the same value over and over again. So we are going to check that out as well. But let's see if my notebook is working now. I just hope so. And let's get this descriptive statistic ASAP. I'm seeing I copy this one and I'm just pasting it there again. I'm supposed to type tf.describe. Oh, it's dot not comma. Sorry again. Um, let me see. Oh, I forgot to comment out this. It keeps printing that info below since it's on the last line. Okay. So if I didn't convert all of these columns to float from object to float, you wouldn't have been seeing all this computation here. So it happened just after the conversion. So you are not seeing for the other ones because the values, the data type there is showing that it's an object. So, but we haven't gone through to check if they can actually be converted, like if it will make sense to convert into a float value, a float data type. But we are seeing this because we actually converted it. So let's look at it. Will probably come with some descriptive statistics, like I was talking, the mean, the standard deviation, the minimum value. You can see the mark. This is the upper quarter range, this is the mid, and this is the lower quarter range. So here, this is the count. You have 141,465 rows. So it's the same. This is 63 rows. So this is where we had those two missing values. Unless we can see the mean for discounted price. This is it, yeah. Actual price, this is the mean. We have the standard deviation and the rest. Okay, so let's get back to what I was talking about. So you see, this is standard deviation of the numeric value we now have. And you can probably see the minimum value. Let me check the mean for the rating to see what I put was even close to it. Okay, the mean rating is 4.096. Actually, I put 3.9. I don't think that's a big problem. We can just use it like that. Or if I like, let me just change it right now. Oh, still not responding. So what did I talk about? I talk about replacing null values, and I think we already done with that because I already showed you something about the null values. Or we can just get back and replace. We try to replace um a few null values that we have with that rating. I think that should be done really quick. And after that, we might go back again and check to verify if we see add null values. Maybe I did something like that, of which I might have commented. Yep. So let's just go and replace it. We should not be working with null values, as I said, and I forgot we had to replace it. Rating count. Yep. So we are going to run it again and we check if there's any problem there. Okay. So let's move on. Let's check again the null values and see if we still have any null values in the data set. Wait. Okay, I'll run a code again and we can verify from there. Actually, I feel the rating count with the median. I hope that is okay. I'm sorry I did not explain that earlier. Let me refresh the page again. I don't know the problem. My internet connection is very good, but the page keep having a problem. So after replacing that, I really think we should have no null values again in the data set. And we're to move to duplicate. We can always check our duplicate using the duplicated method. So let's please, I'm so sorry for what is happening to my data lab. I hope it's going to work this time. Okay, let me just copy this value up here and let's check again if we see have any null values in the data set.
I saw a meet call.
Yesterday. All right, let me just run it again one more time. I hope it's going to work this time. Okay, so here we see that we have no values again. The rating count here, we had two null values before, but we have actually replaced it with the median of the values that were there. And we are going to check if we see have duplicates. As I said, we just look at the duplicates value and check if there's anyone using duplicated.any. All right. Duplicated.any, then where this? No. For what's in the braces there.
Maybe the data of this one will call you first.
We run again. And we can see that it's false. So as I really said, the data set is really clean. We have no duplicated value in here. So it's actually false. And we can move on to the next thing, because if you don't have any duplicated value, I don't think there's any reason to be wasting time to look again for other things, since we have confirmed there are no duplicated values. So we can look at a scatter plot of the price and the rating. So we just plot. I've forgotten to import Seaborn. So we import Seaborn as, and we plot the scatter plot, Seaborn and matplotlib. So we'll be really fast on that. We're just going to go next down. So numpy as well, we might need it, but we're already running out of time. I think we have just about 20 minutes left. So let's just import matplotlib and Seaborn using the alias we always use. All right, next, let me open a new Python. Yes, that was supposed to import it at the top, but we can just do it from here. I hope we are all good from there. Importing should not be a problem. We are all good with matplotlib and the rest. So we are just going to go straight ahead and plot the graph. This is exploratory data analysis. We just want to see how it looks like. So as I said, we are going to plot the actual price and the rating. Let's see the relationship between the price and rating. Okay. So I using matplotlib.
Oh, yeah, I want to use that for you.
So next we are just going to rush and put a title, and we are going to put a we are going to label the x and y axis of the graph. Then we can see what the data is showing us from there. So PLT dot x level, and we do the same. So we have on the y-axis, that's the rating, and PLT dot show. I don't know. Just hold on a bit. So today is the right table. The notebook keeps having a problem. Then we show the plot, because if it doesn't show as usual, you're not going to see anything. Okay, so let's just see. This is a scatter plot from here. We're not going to waste time customizing it, because I don't even think we're going to cover up to half of what we had to do today. We are already out of time. You can see the rating, how it relates with the price. Look here, 4.5 rating. You can see it's really high, but where it's concentrated with these lower prices, you can see this might be 4.2, and you see the rating here. This is a scatter plot. It works if you understand how the line plots work. It probably works almost in the same way. It's just that now you have all these scatter points, but you can always track this or everything. Like, it is on the y-axis, it represents this, and it links down to the x-axis. And if there was any warning, we could ignore it. We can also plot the histogram, but is that really necessary? Histogram and of the actual price. So that is just like plotting the frequency of the actual price to see. We are going to go again really quick on this. Go next. Plotting a histogram. Sorry, I'm not going to correct that mistake right now. But his actual price and we are still just going to label it as usual x and y label. So we are just going to put the actual price and the actual frequency, not actual frequency. So we are going to put the frequency, then we show the graph. This actual here, don't be confused, that is a small letter A, not a big letter. The notebook keeps disturbing over and over. and we are left just with 15 minutes. I don't really think we are going to go too far as I expected. And yeah, let me just begin to say something why it is wasting time to reload. I don't know why the notebook is behaving like this today. When it's back, we just go. I'm just going to go very quick and
Okay, Mr. Emma, well done.
yeah.
Yes, from the scatter plots we plotted, I don't know if you could just quickly explain the outlier so that they will take note of outlier. I see that we have one outlier out there.
All right. Like this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So outlier is like actually like values that go really out of range, out of bounds. Like you can have a range of the values, normal values range between 1 to 10. They have one extreme values that maybe it goes to maybe 100, or it can go to -50. Like here we have these outliers. You can see these values are just normal. They're just in the actual range of values. You can even see that are more concentrated here within this range between the prices here within 20 within 0 to 20,000. We have really concentration here, but here we really have this outlier where this one is out of range. But there's another kind of plot which is maybe always kind of specific for outliers. um what's the name of the plot again? I can remember. They look like candlesticks.
Box plot. Box plot.
Pardon, box plot, yeah.
That
Yeah.
box plot.
So
Yeah.
if you actually always want to see the outlier, you can always plot the box plot, and I always encourage you use that to get your outliers because also very important, especially when you start training a model. These outliers might cause a lot of problems. They might
Exactly.
cause you problems which you might not know. Your model might not respond exactly what you wanted. So I'm sorry I actually missed that out, but it's an important concept.
Yeah.
So let me just run the histogram again. So this is the histogram. This is the frequency. You can see that most of the price. What this I can just say this is about 15,000 here. Actual price 15,000. We can see that most of the price are between 0 to 15,000. That's why I see this frequency just showing where the price range where most of the items fall. So that was the real reason why I had to plot that histogram, and there's really nothing else there again. I think that one is really clear. Then we are not going to get into any machine learning, and we can quickly run and look at heat maps here because with the time left we can look at just one heat map. I really think will be good. So heat maps, how people understand what is correlation and the rest, because it's good we look at that before we end the day. So I think you might have seen correlation in the lesson there. So correlation is like a measure of the trend, like in the direction of a linear relationship between two numeric value. So you always have it has a range from -1 to +1. So when the value is towards +1, that is a good positive correlation. It shows a good positive relationship. That means as one value goes up, the other follows. So that is like a straight linear curve going up. Then we have a negative relationship. That's when the value is in the negative, maybe from -0 to 1, -1, sorry, between that range. So as with one value goes up, the other one goes down. So they're moving in opposite direction. Then when you have the value of 0, that means that there's no linear relationship between those two values. They are independent. The movement of one does not affect the movement of another one. And I really think it's visible with a heat map, because a heat map, yes, you can see there clearly. Okay, so with the heat map, you have color grades. you have it's made out of different grades of colors. Which each of those grid squares they represent the correlation matrix of the numeric column. So this is the fastest way we can scan our data set to find like what is the most related actual price, the most you can look at the relationship between discount price and the number of sales when they are discount price. So one of the main goals is to see how categorical values will actually influence the relationship between two variables. And I think we are going to just plot one heat map and we see, and I'm just going to show you some few things. And it's also good to look at the colors because the colors matters a lot. But when we are going to plot, I'm going to explain the colors from there. So I think I already imported everything. We are going to take the correlation matrix is, let's just do very quick. Correlation. Then we will use Seaborn and the heat map. Then we are going to plot that correlation matrix ASAP. So SN does heat map as usual. Then we go ahead. SN dot heat map. We are going to pass the correlation. Okay. Then we're actually going to show our plot, but I will maybe have to work on the size of the plot a little bit. So we're just going to show the heat map and we might have to plot the shape and make it a little bit bigger so it will not be the default size as usual. Because if it's a default size, those values you might not actually see what is there. So let me just show you real quick again. PLT dot show. Let me use come here. Then why how do you run again? Run button keeps disappearing. This issue with the notebook today has wasted a lot of time, which is not really important. Let me refresh again. You just keep doing like that. So anybody that asks a question, you can raise your hand up and we can clarify your doubt before we end this session. Because we are left just with about 8 minutes, so we have to end ASAP. Because the other things we have to do is still really much. We need about 2 hours again, and we cannot extend to 10 o'clock. I don't know your country, maybe it might be too late for you where you are, but I think it's okay. We end here, but let me try to print this graph first and just visualize from there.
Yeah, for that heat map, I believe that in subsequent tasks that we have to do or subsequent project that we have to work on, we will still do heat map. I believe that could be attended to some other time so that
Okay, let me. The problem was just the printing. I can just print and I show them before we call it a day.
Mm, that's a long way we have come. That's a great work.
Run. Okay, I think we have a problem with some data types, and you can see the error here. So we might have to go back and have to start cleaning the data type and changing what we need to change. So we have to use NumPy to do some conversion. But I'm not going to go into that now
Mm,
because they are talking about this person correlation here. And it's just I was hearing, we have taken time to do it properly. But we have to go back and do one or two small things before we can move into this. So I think if you have any question, you can just ask and we call it a day from here. Mr. Joseph, please, you have anything to add?
Um. Okay. 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 Let me just quickly say this for the students. There's a way I note that the your view the screen that you are sharing, it's kind of tiny, but from the student end there's a way they can enlarge the screen. So I don't know
Okay.
if they actually know how to do that, if they know how to do that for subsequent classes.
Yeah.
So what they will just do, if you guys can hear me, what you just do is that you will have to, the screen that he is sharing, you will have to make it full screen. And then when you make it full screen, you will just use your two fingers to enlarge it.
Okay.
So when you enlarge it from your end, talking about the student now, you are going to see all the codes clearly. So you just shift it to where is coding and all of that. So that's one thing. And then for, okay, let me just add a little bit to the outlier section. Outlier is very important that you drop outliers in your work. So subsequently, when we start building models, you are going to know the reason. Just like Mr. Emmanuel said, is going to make your model not to even run at all, and all of that. That's what we call overfitting and underfitting, like that. So you need to consider outliers. Outlier is a very important matter when you are doing, and that's what EDA helps you to see. That's why we need to see all these things now as you are going, so that you can know what to do before you go into model building and all of that. So when you are doing exploratory data analysis, you are going to look out for all those stuffs. Outliers, you look at them when you use correlation, or when you use a box plot, you are going to see it clearly. So, and then for correlation, that's scatter plot. Scatter plot shows the strength of how correlated two quantities are related to each other. Okay, so it shows the strength, like you said, from -1 to 1. So that's a long way we have come today. I don't know if the students might have, we have few students left here. I don't know if anyone might have any question that we just quickly attend to in the next 3 minutes that we have left.
Okay. Good evening.
Yeah, good
Yeah. So
evening.
my question is I just want to know concerning the deadlines that are given on the assignments that we're supposed to do. I want to know if you're unable to meet the deadline, if there is a penalty or a punishment for that, or a consequence for that that might affect your your duration in the program.
Okay, is that your question?
Yeah, that's my question.
Okay. All right. Mr. Manuel will still answer that, but before he does, what when you you might still have some grace of days to submit your assignment, like 2 3 days later. But when you submit that, it's going to show it as late. Okay, it's going to indicate it that you submitted it late. So even when, like for example, when this week assignment is due tomorrow, so and you submit maybe Monday, Tuesday, you are just going to see it tag late on datacam. Okay, and of course there are consequences for submitting late, but I don't have the full information now. I don't know if Mr. Emmanuel have all the full information regarding that. If he does not, then you might have to exercise patience as we get the full details around it for you. So, Mr. Emmanuel, if you can hear me, I don't know, you can attend to that.
Okay, so have a nice day. I don't know if the day is over where you are, but good night to everyone.
I don't think he heard you.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, he must have left. All right, Sam, no, just hold on. By next week, or during the course of the following week, I will drop the details of that on the Discord. So just watch out on the Discord.
But I understand that we have when we started the course, they said there is probation stuff like that. I
Yeah,
can't really
yeah, yeah.
recall. Yeah. So I just wanted
Uh,
to know the criteria and everything.
and just try as much as you can to meet up with the weekly assignments that you have.
All
But I will
right.
give you the details on the Discord.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. I will now
Good
get
night.
on, guys. All right.